Okay, so I have quite a lot of clips of Bangalore. The reason being is she's my main, and I'm very comfortable with using her, knowing when to utilise her passive in a gunfight, using her tactical efficiently to help your team push, or retreat, or move and cover, and then also moving or using her ultimate to push a team off a building, push them back, help your advance to a certain position, stuff like that there. In these 3 clips that I'm going to show, they're focusing precisely on gunfights. There is one clip that just shows a good advance on pushing a team inside a building. So we're going to let the first clip play through here, and then we'll talk about it.
Now. One on me now.
Go back.
One here, right there. Pushing me right
Oh my
side.
god, where are they?
I'm spotted. Tango. Give me a sec. Recharging shields.
Fine.
Reloading.
You?
Another target.
Comms.
He's here. He's sitting here.
Get fucked!
No fucking way
Yes.
you with that.
Fucking
No
J.
fucking way you.
So that was the first clip, and as you heard, it got quite heated, as you would expect in a 1v3. So, if you didn't know this already, if you have a digital threat on your gun, you can see through smokes. The enemies show up as a red highlight. So if you have the possibility to get a digital threat from the crafter, or pick one up, always put it on your gun if you're Bangalore. You can utilise it far better than an enemy team that doesn't have one, because you can see them through the smokes, and it's basically free wall hacks. So the clip kind of cut short here. This is quite an old one, but this smoke right here is my smoke, and I'm just after launching it there. So all I'm doing here is I'm scanning the area back and forth, left and right, trying to spot an enemy through the smoke.
Now.
End up seeing the gibby,
One
the
on me
background,
now.
go back, left hand side. So looking left and right.
One here, right.
Now what I end up doing here is, in the smoke, the smoke is situated to my right hand side. So once I start shooting the gibby, he's moving to the left. I then slide into the right to get my reload. This puts me into cover and allows me to move back left as I'm shooting the gibby on my way out of the smoke. If he doesn't have digital threat, that gives me a huge advantage in the gunfight.
One here, right
So move to the right, get the reload, move back left, get the shots off. At this point, I know already he's very weak. My 2 teammates just got down, but they were in the middle of fighting the other 2 enemies. So I know that I can switch to my secondary comfortably and get the knock on the gibby.
Oh my god, where are they?
At this point, and it's just about to get active, but from the left hand side, the 2 remaining enemy teammates start shooting me, and I get a speed boost. At this point, I'm half health, however, I'm completely exposed where I'm at, and I no longer have smoke as cover. So I see this rock here to my right hand side, and I immediately use the speed boost to slide forward, tap strafe to the right hand side to get a sharper angle behind cover, and then walk back up to the top, and then pop a cell whenever I get to the top. Like I said previously, popping a cell in the middle of a gunfight in a 1v1 or 1v2, 1v3, whatever, if you can pop a cell, it can help you out massively. And in this 1v3 situation, it actually allowed me to win the gunfight. If I didn't pop this cell, I would have lost this entire gunfight. Get the speed boost, slide, tap strafe to the right, get under cover, pop a cell. The next thing that happens is, there's 3 things that happen. I start to move up. My teammates are giving me good comms. They're pinging exactly where the enemies are, so I know they're over in this general vicinity. As I move up, they ping here, and then I spot the Octane. But there's an audible cue that I hear, 1 large footstep to my left hand side, and then I turn left knowing that there's an enemy very close. Go up. At this point, You may have just caught visually the Wraith just go past there, but we can see the Octane, and then you can see the ping here from my teammates. At this point, I'm able to get the battery, or the cell off. I get shot by the Octane, and I nearly managed to one-clip the Wraith. Now, in this gunfight, I'm in the middle of a reload. The best thing you can do for mouse and key is constantly move left and right as close to the enemy as you possibly can. The reason being is if you imagine your field of view is just the entire screen here. If you are as close to them as possible and you just move slightly to the right, what you're doing is you're cutting their FOV like that. They then have to turn to the right, and you're standing right here. You're standing right here. They have to turn to the right and then lock on to where you're at, figure out, get their thumbs if they're on controller, or get their hand or wrist or arm focused in position to start shooting you. But if you then move back to the left, as close to them as possible, you're cutting their FOV again. They then have to adjust and turn to the left and get shots on you that way. So keeping as close to the opponent as possible is really important for close combat fighting, especially whenever you're at a disadvantage. When I say you're at a disadvantage, I mean this is a 2v1. I only hipfire, I don't ADS, because ADSing with an R9 or at close range with any gun limits how quickly you can move the mouse left and right. So if you keep it at hipfire, you're able to move faster. The bullet spread is a lot easier to control and visually see, because if you ADS right now, you're essentially blocking your entire screen. So you'll have the gun like this and the digital threat, something like that, and then the entire gun here. And you have all of this is your field of view and what you can see, but what you're actually doing is blocking out this. Rather, if you keep it hip fire, you can see them the entire time, so it's a lot easier to shoot them. So you see here, I keep hip firing, move left and right, and at this point I have to reload again, so I slide to the left and I spot this tree. Now when I slide to the left, you'll see me look back to the right onto the Wraith that's just jumped over me. And I know she's already one bullet because I did 174 damage to her, almost one clipped her. I get the down and I know the tree is to my left hand side, so what I do is I start to walk to the left hand side. I also spot the Octane up here and he hits a couple of shots. At this point, I take a breath, try to concentrate. I could very easily have popped a cell here and given me another advantage because I know he's flesh and I've just done him for 64 damage. No idea what flesh he was before that. He could be 50% health, he could be one shot after this. Thankfully he was. But also note my health after this gunfight is over, it goes down to here. If I didn't pop that extra cell, which brought my health to here previously, I would have 100% lost this gunfight. So I get my reload, take my time. My teammate's giving me fantastic comms. He's telling me he's right here, he's pinging it, so I know exactly where I need to aim before I even ADS around the corner. Right there, he pings, and then I get a shot off. And it gets pretty heated, but that's the one example of a breakdown of a gunfight in a 1v3 situation. It really gets your heart racing, but the key thing to remember is not to panic. Once you start panicking, your shots will never hit, and it takes a lot of time to get over that initial heart racing moment, and then you start to jitter with your hand and you lose focus, lose track. Just stop, think, try to be as calm as possible in a gunfight. So I'm going to let this clip run through. This is just an example of using Bangalore smokes to press onto a team. Okay, so we've run this one back. Again, this is quite an old clip. What we've established is there's a team in this entire area. We know that 2 of them for certain are in the building, because I believe previously we found that someone was pinging here and they were shooting from this window. And then as we can see here, there's tracer bullets here that someone was actually, and you can just about see them there. So what I do is I smoke this door to allow my teammates to push onto that building, and then I smoke this window to stop anyone from peeking out from my advance into that building in front of me. The reason for doing this is by smoking the enemy, you're limiting their way of tracking where you're going, if you're pushing, if you're trying to wrap around or flank. It limits all of that information from them. However, we know that they're inside this building, so it gives us soft cover to then push the building, which is what my teammates end up doing, to push into the team and try to get the kills. Same situation with the building on the left, which is the one I decided to push. So I smoke their door, my teammate runs down on the right side, I smoke the window up top, and then I'm able to slide in. And due to the speed of the slide that I get there, not from her passive, just simply because it was on a hill, the Wattson that was inside the door wasn't expecting me to come through, and I'm able to get 2 shots off before she ends up doing damage to me. So we'll let the third clip just run here, and this is just a 1v1 gunfight and utilising her passive. So there's actually one thing I did wrong in this, and I will point it out. So basically what's happening here is I'm running up, my teammates are pinging someone to my left hand side, and you can see the large ping right here. That forces me to turn left, and what happens is I end up spotting a caustic sitting in a corner. So as you can see, I'm turned and I'm looking in this direction, but in the corner of my eye I spot this little guy right here. And what I do is take some shots, get a crack. Now what I'm actually doing wrong here is I'm standing too static whenever I'm taking these shots. I can get into how you should be aiming and hip firing, and when to hip fire, when to aim in a 1v1. Because of the distance we are to each other, I get away with this because it is only a 1v1. And I'm able to get the crack on the enemy while I'm still basically full health. But what I end up doing here is I get the crack, the enemy shoots me, and I'm expecting him to shoot back at me, and knowing that information with Bangalore's passive, I'm able to immediately slide to the right, pull out the wingman, and then take the pop shot to kill him. So if we just back it up here, you'll see that I already preempt him shooting, so I'm already in a sliding motion as he shoots me to get that immediate boost, and then his shots are too far to the left to actually hit me. It's right there. So I get the passive, I slide to the right, and if you look at his shots, they're still going way out here to the left. And if you keep an eye on his shots here, don't focus on mine, just look at his shots. As I get the slide off, you'll see he misses a few bullets, and that allows me to get shot back onto him. And if you notice as well, once he's shooting me to the left, I get the slide on the right, I then move back to the left, he is then tracing me, because if you imagine, due to input lag and frames and stuff like that there, on his screen, because I move so quickly, he's on a little bit of a delay. It's only slight, but it's enough in a first person shooter game to give you a huge advantage. He shoots left, and then he traces me all the way to the right, and by the time he's traced me to about here, I've already moved to the left, and then it's an easy pop shot to get the kill. So watch his bullets, don't look at mine, just watch his bullets. Get the slide to the right, and I'm able to strafe back, get the pop shot. So that's just 3 examples of Bangalore. I do have a lot more of showing how to utilise her ultimate and her tactical a lot better. as well as a couple other 1v1 situations and buildings and out in the open. So if you want me to break down a couple of those, I'll be more than happy to.